Good evening, hockey fans, and there it is, the Tribute Community Center here in beautiful downtown Oshawa, the site of the 3HL Oshawa Showcase that will go down this Saturday afternoon. 8 teams from all over Southern Ontario battling for a share of the $15,000 cash purse. Welcome to the 3HL preview show live here at the Tribute Community Center. I'm Pat Gregoire, your host, and this is all brought to you by JVI Sports Network. I'm also joined by Justin Fox, the CEO and founder of the league. Justin, thank you for joining us here tonight. And we got an action-packed show for tonight. We're going to bring some of the players on to talk about a little bit about their background and how they got involved in the league. And then we're also going to bring on our commentators that you might have heard if you tuned in to our broadcast on January 1st, Dalton Finkbeiner and Ian Duffy. We're going to be breaking down the bracket, and of course, we'll talk about some of the other events that have been added. But like I said, Justin, thank you for joining us.
All right, thank you for having me. We're excited to get the 3HL underway here in Oshawa. As Pat mentioned, the 3HL Oshawa Showcase is this Saturday, January 21st. Puck drops at 3 p.m.
Yep.
It's here at the Tribute Community Center, formerly known as the GM Center. So we're excited to get the play underway here in Oshawa. And yeah, I guess we got a pretty good show on today. I've got some of the players here today. We've got a couple of the announcers going to be talking a little bit about, I guess, breaking down the event,
yeah,
and the series or the
tournament. Yeah.
The tournament. Yep. Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah. So Justin, obviously we've been talking, a lot about the 3-on-3 professional hockey league that you did start, the first of its kind. Can you kind of give the folks at home who might not know too much about the 3HL how you got this thing all started?
So the 3HL essentially was born about a year and a half ago now, out of the idea that 3-on-3, obviously as hockey fans, we saw the 3-on-3 format in the NHL and other pro leagues. So we thought the format was really exciting from a fan's perspective. After looking into it a little bit further, we realized that there was an opportunity for more professional hockey in Canada. So there's a lot of junior and major junior hockey, but there isn't a lot of pro hockey. So we decided to combine the exciting, fast-paced, open-iced, action-packed format of the 3-on-3 and combine it with a sort of a mini tournament-style, bracket-style, single-elimination tournament with the pro aspect of a cash purse, kind of like a PGA Tour, and we'll travel around throughout the province. So again, yeah, that's basically how it started. I'm glad to be here. This is it's the first of many shows.
For sure. So
I'm getting used to it, but it's exciting. So hi to all the fans out there. This is the first of my time on a show like this.
You know what? And it's great. And we talked about how it all kicked off on January 1st. The Markham Millionaires winning the first ever 3HL Tour event, beating the London Threes in a great game. They ended up winning 4-1. Now, Justin, obviously you were there. It was the first tournament that we ever had here in the 3HL. You talked about it a year and a half in the making. Was it really what you envisioned?
It was pretty amazing. It was great to see, obviously the work isn't done yet and there's still a lot of work to do. And, every day we get a lot of players and fans reaching out to us that, they want to support the league or join the league or be a part of it in some way. But yeah, definitely after, a year and a half of going out arena to arena and doing tryouts and, making a lot of phone calls and setting up the venues, it was great to actually see a lot of hard work and effort, not just from me, but a lot of people in the background come to fruition and actually become a true event. And so, the fans that were there was close to 500 fans at the Mattamy on January 1st, despite some other maybe impedances. They were there, and to a T, everyone said, some of the best hockey that they've seen in a long time, some of the most exciting, fast-paced hockey they've seen in a while. So yeah, it was amazing. I was very, very pleased to be a part of it and to have started something that I think going forward is going to potentially at least in the Ontario and Canadian market potentially revolutionize the professional hockey world. So very excited and we're looking forward to what's next in the future.
Yeah, well, you talk about the future, Justin. We know here Saturday we'll be here at the Tribute Community Center. starting at 3 o'clock. Like you said, it's it's going to be an unbelievable event. We know that it's great hockey. We saw the 3-on-3 action on January 1st. But with that being said, you talk about the future. Already there have been 2 new events added to the 3HL Tour. Can you talk about the 2 new events that we did add on the schedule?
Yeah, exactly. There's actually been 3 new events. So breaking news. So we've added Collingwood, which is going to be February the 18th in Collingwood at the Eddie Bush Memorial Arena. We've also now just added Port Elgin, which is going to be April 1st in Port Elgin. We've also now added the Aurora event, which is going to be at the Aurora Community Center March 25th. So very exciting news. There's also one more. I can't really release the time and name, but there is going to be a 4th, potentially even a 5th event added in the next couple of weeks. So we're looking at having a great schedule this year. We're excited. Some of the communities have really shown support for the league. The municipalities have stepped up. The local business community, obviously, it's a great initiative for the local communities, the local businesses. They've stepped up. The local minor hockey associations, a lot of the charitable work that we do with some of our local charities, March of Dimes, Prostate Cancer Canada, as well as their opportunity, and some of the local minor hockey associations have really come together, and they're really pushing and driving this. So we're going to have some really cool community-focused events and a great opportunity for fans, just like here in Oshawa, to get out and see some great hockey, some great pros that they've seen, whether it be in their OHL days, their NHL days, or even in some of the junior AHL, or ECHL days. Come out and see them compete at a high level and be entertained, and then obviously for a great cause, and obviously giving an opportunity for the players as well. So this is a true alternative to other professional hockey leagues out there. So very excited. It has been everything that I envisioned it to be. We've got a lot coming up, and this year's going to be amazing, and it'll just pave the way for the future. So it's a great time to be a part of the 3HL Tour.
Oh, absolutely. I can tell you're excited. We're all excited here. And I know the folks at home that are tuning in to JVI Sports Network are excited. They're probably wondering where they can get tickets. You can get tickets at the box office right here at the Tribute Community Center as well. Actually, now that we say that, we might as well take a look at the schedule so the folks at home can see what exactly they are in for. So look at that there, folks. So starting off at 3 o'clock, you'll see the Toronto Bees take on the Kitchener Lions. Then next up, it will be the Milton Flyers, the champions, taking on the Guelph Brewers. And one of the names that you from Oshawa definitely will know is Brett McLean. He makes his professional hockey return right here at the Tribute Community Center. He is familiar with this building. It was called the GM Center back in the day when he filled the net, playing on the same team as John Tavares. And then you've got Markham and London the next game. Markham and Oshawa that game. And following after that, it is London and Newmarket. And then, of course, you have the semis and the finals. And, folks, that's just all in one day. So all of those games, your one ticket that you do get covers your entire event. So like I said, you can go get your tickets today right here at the Tribute Community Center. Yep. You can also go online, Justin, as well.
Yeah. So you can grab tickets, obviously, here at the Tribute Community Center, formerly the GM Center in Oshawa, at the box office, or you can grab them on the Tribute website. So it's tributecommunitycenter.com. Yep. Or you can grab them on the 3HL tour.com website. So it's 3HLTOUR.com. And you can grab tickets there. There are some promo codes floating around, so if you're looking to some of our partner charities or partner organizations, there are definitely some promo codes out there that can get you some discounts. Right now, actually, I wanted to talk a little bit about a little promo or ticket giveaway we're going to do for those watching today. So essentially, if you tweet, "I want tickets" to @3HL Tour, and hashtag 3on3ProHockey. So check out our Twitter. Tweet us, "I want tickets" @3HL Tour, hashtag 3on3ProHockey. We're giving away 2 pairs to everyone that tweets that tweet. So we've got a couple hundred tickets that we're able to give away here today. So everyone gets a chance. I've actually got 50 tickets in my hand. The venue here seats about 5,000. So we're expecting close to 2,000 to 3,000. But we'd love to have 5. So if you guys tweet it out there, we could probably get 2,000 people here on free tickets. So we're excited to get you out there, to get you to see the event and basically promote the 3HL. So come on out.
All right, folks, there you heard it. Get your Twitter fingers going. Use that hashtag 3on3 Pro Hockey. Say you want tickets. I want tickets. Tweet it at 3HL Tour. Give us a follow as well if you aren't already following us. But Justin, I want to thank you for joining us. We will see you Saturday. You'll see this man Saturday running around, enjoying the 3on3 hockey. When we come back, though, folks, everyone talks about 3on3 hockey, the fast pace, the end-to-end action, the goal scoring, but we're going to join the goalies here, the true stars of the 3HL Tour.
Hi, I'm Matt Nickel from BioSteel Sports Nutrition. Here to talk to you a little bit today about proper nutrition and proper training for hockey players in the off season. So everybody knows that it's important for hockey players trained to be fast, to be explosive, to have great endurance, to have great strength. It's also extremely important that they stay on top of their nutrition and have proper nutritional habits. Our BioSteel HPSM is the healthiest, safest, and most effective sports drink on the market. It's a great way for professional athletes and regular Joes alike to stay healthy, to stay hydrated while they're training, while they're competing through a long, hard workday. It maintains energy levels in a healthy and effective way, maintains focus and attention during a stressful period of time, whether that's during practice or at work, and also make sure that we stay healthy as we're training.
And welcome back, folks. I'm Pat Gregor, your host for 3HL, the preview tournament show here at the Tribute Community Center. I'm now joined by Rich Wigmore, the goalie of the London Threes, Daryl Rotham, the goalie of the Markham Millionaires, and David Blair, the goalie of the Toronto Bees. Sorry, boys. Thank you for jumping on the desk here. Now, everyone talks about, the 3-on-3 hockey, the fast pace, the end-to-end goals, but no one really talked about the goalies, although you guys, a lot at the time were stealing the show. How was it? I'll start with you, Rich. Was it being one of the first goalies in a 3-on-3 professional hockey league?
Yeah, I mean, for the first time playing 3-on-3, it was a learning experience. I mean, it's a completely different game. At first, you didn't really know what to expect, but we knew that getting scored on was going to happen, and you kind of had to adjust pretty quickly to the pace, and 2-on-0s, breakaways, that type of thing. But I'd have to say it was a pretty good experience.
Now, Daryl, I mean, you were one of the players that a lot of fans gravitated to. You had the old Hasek bucket on, very unorthodox style. Do you feel that maybe with the 3-on-3 action, you being able so active moving in the net kind of helps you out that way?
Yeah, I think so. I like playing the puck, so it works to my advantage. Players don't expect me to come out and play and that, so I like jumping in. I think it works best. I like the shots. I like the one-on-one opportunities. 2-on-1 makes us look good, right? So.
Now, David, how was your first experience? I know it wasn't the, your team definitely didn't come out with the the start you guys wanted to, but how was it, playing a 3-on-3 style of game?
The first few minutes were awesome. It was back and forth, a couple saves, which were good, and then the lamp started to get a little bit more than I had hoped or expected to. It was a lot of fun out there, though. I know we were a little disappointed in how we played, so we're going to be looking forward to this weekend coming up.
Yeah, now on that, David, it is a fresh start for you guys. You play Kitchener, a team that, was pretty impressive. They, kind of shocked a lot of people with how well they played. Did you guys, kind of use that loss against London kind of as motivation or kind of a wake-up, or you guys just kind of put it into the back burner, not worrying about it?
No, we're definitely still remembering that loss. The boys in the room afterwards were pretty upset and distraught about it. But we've been talking in our groups that we have going right now, and we're pretty excited to kind of just get it out of the way and kind of get back on the ice.
Absolutely. Now, your team, the London Threes, a little bit of a Cinderella story, short bench. You guys had a fantastic tournament. Came up short in the finals, losing 4-1. It looked like the wheels kind of fell off. What are you anticipating for this next tournament?
Yeah, I mean, we were definitely tired there going into overtime against Kitchener, and having to play right after was a little bit of a killer. But, we have a bigger roster this time through, and I think that we're going to come up big. We picked up Nathan Enzel, Division I 4-year veteran in NCAA, and Mike Burgoyne with a lot of professional experience. So I think that we're going to come out the same. You'll get the same flashy team that you had in Toronto there, but with a little more wheels.
Perfect. Now, Daryl, your team, another team that just lost in overtime. Are you guys, ready to come out with a victory here in Oshawa? Or?
Oh yeah, we're coming in with our wheels coming, and we're going to take that loss. We weren't really used to the style of hockey, so guys are getting used to each other, and the no icing, no offsides, it's big for guys to get used to. It goes against everything you've ever played, right? So it's, like I said, a new style, and we're going to come out hard looking for the W. So.
All right, perfect. Well, guys, thank you for joining me here today. You can see these guys here right at the Tribute Community Center on Saturday. Get your tickets at the box office, or just tweet Justin with that hashtag 3on3 Pro Hockey and say, I want tickets. Or, of course, if you can't be here in the area, you can stream live on our our YouTube page as well by JVI Sports. When we come back, we'll be with the Oshawa 88's captain, Mitch Scott. Don't move a muscle, because you will not want to miss it.
Hi, I'm Matt Nickel from BioSteel Sports Nutrition. Here to talk to you a little bit today about proper nutrition and proper training for hockey players in the off season. So everybody knows that it's important for hockey players trained to be fast, to be explosive, to have great endurance, to have great strength. It's also extremely important that they stay on top of their nutrition and have proper nutritional habits. Our BioSteel HPSM is the healthiest, safest, and most effective sports drink on the market. It's a great way for professional athletes and regular Joes alike to stay healthy, to stay hydrated, while they're training, while they're competing through a long, hard workday. It maintains energy levels in a healthy and effective way, maintains focus and attention during a stressful period of time, whether that's during practice or at work, and also make sure that we stay healthy as we're training.
Welcome back, folks, right here at the Tribute Community Center, where we will be here on Saturday for the 3HL Oshawa Showcase. And speaking of Oshawa, I'm here with the Oshawa 88's captain, Mitch Scott. Mitch, thank you for coming out.
Pat, thanks for having me.
No worries. I mean, talking about the 88's, wasn't exactly the start that you guys were hoping for. It was a great battle. Lost to Kitchener, a team that kind of took a lot of people by surprise. Lost to them by a goal in that first game for you guys. But since then, you guys have made some additions, and you guys are expecting to, beef up the roster a little bit. Can you tell the folks at home a little bit about those new additions?
Yeah, you're telling me it was a bit of a heartbreak. Waited months for that tournament to happen, and we get put out in the first round. So we've definitely made some new additions to our roster that we're really excited about. I mean, we've kept a handful of the players that we did have because we felt like we did everything we could to win. We put ourselves in a really good position. We've added guys like Jamie Wise, who's one of the top scorers in the CIS. He played for the Rockford Ice Hogs in the American Hockey League. Played in the East Coast for a little while as well. We've added Todd Hosmer, who also played in the East Coast League in the SPHL, and was on a really stacked Newmarket Hurricanes roster in Provincial Junior A as well. We've added one of the players who's widely known as one of the best hockey players not to play pro in all of Toronto in Chase DeLeon. So we're really excited about having some of the new guys on. But at the same time, we've kept guys like Taylor Fielding, who played in the OHL for 4 years for the Oshawa 67s. He's a big part of our team, and probably the best player on our team who nobody knows about is a guy by the name of Stefan Scholig, who's a big body at 6'6" and 215 pounds. He's I'm not messing with him out on the ice. So we're excited about this weekend, and going up against Markham. Daryl, who is just on, the goalie for Markham. If you want to see one of the most exciting players in the whole league, that's it. So we're excited to play against him.
Oh yeah, he's absolutely electric. He looks like Dominic Hasek out there, flopping all over the place wearing that bucket. But hey, Mitch, you didn't mention your own name. I saw you. I don't know if you saw the highlights going there. Pretty nice snipe on the breakaway as well. So don't sell yourself a little bit short there.
I wasn't going to pump my own tires.
Well, you talked about Markham. That's who you guys are matched up with. Another team that they lost as well by 1 goal in that opening round to the eventual tournament winners, the Milton Flyers. How are you guys, preparing to play another team that is just as hungry for their first win? Arguably, they could be even more because they lost to a team that won the entire thing.
Yeah, well, we're sort of going into this with a different game plan. Knowing that we've changed our roster a little bit, knowing how we lost in the first game. I know we need to play a little bit more defensive, but at the same time be able to create some really nice breakout opportunities for ourselves on the odd man rush. We feel like we have a really fast team. We've added to the speed of our team, so we're really going to utilize that as our strength going forward. But we know what they're capable of. We saw what they were capable of. However, I really have no idea what their roster is going to look like, because most teams, they seem to talk amongst each other, and we know what's going on with their team. But Markham, I have no idea what to expect going into Saturday.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm looking forward to that matchup. It looks like, just looking at the bracket here, pretty much every single matchup here that we'll see Saturday should be very evenly contested. And to be totally honest, I mean, if you look from team 1 to team 8, anyone pretty much can beat each other at any point at any time. Now, obviously, you guys were upset with the outcome that happened on January 1st, but you were involved with the league from a very, very long time, helping organize this Oshawa 88's team. Actually, you were here for the tryout on the other pad as well, I believe. How cool was it, January 1st rolls around and you're here playing 3-on-3 pro hockey?
Well, I'm not going to lie, when the league first started, I sort of took it with a grain of salt and thought, if this happens, it happens. If not, it doesn't. And it's really turned into something that I've absolutely fallen in love with. And I have such a passion for it. And building it up over a couple of months, basically from September until January 1st, the first event was really everything that I could have hoped for, other than Oshawa's immediate exit in the first round. But the event itself, I thought, ran fantastic, and we're really looking forward to the rest of the season and adding some more events for this year and for next year as well.
Well, that's a perfect segue there, because you are the captain of the Oshawa 88s, but you are also from Collingwood, Ontario, and we already talked about it with Justin a little bit. You were very, very heavily involved with adding Collingwood as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about that event and the community of Collingwood as well? Because if you haven't, I know you have, but folks at home, if you've never been to Eddie Bush Memorial, it's an old classic arena, much smaller than here, but it does have some character, and it should be a great event.
Yeah, well, if you've never been to the Eddie Bush Arena, it's probably, with the exception of a handful of arenas, it's probably the best arena in Ontario. And I was very fortunate to play minor hockey there growing up. So I'm absolutely ecstatic to be doing an event there. We've had a lot of support from town council right off the bat. I want to give a shout out to Bob Madigan, Collingwood town councilor. He actually reached out and said, listen, we need to get an event here in Collingwood because I think it's going to be fantastic for the community. It's a town that has a big city feel, but the heart and soul of a small town community, and everyone's very, very passionate about hockey. And they lost their junior team a couple of years ago, and they're absolutely dying for hockey. So we're really excited to bring the 3HL to Collingwood, really try to encompass the small business aspect of it, some sponsors initiatives, some charitable events that we have planned. And when I made the announcement on my own Facebook on Saturday, my phone exploded with people who want to buy tickets and people who want to become sponsors of the league and of the Collingwood tournament right away. So I think it's going to be a great event for the town of Collingwood, and everyone's looking forward to it that I've spoken with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a fantastic event. I know I'm looking forward to it as well. Everyone at home probably looking forward to it now, as they know it's official that we will be going to Collingwood, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have to be right here on Saturday. The Oshawa 88s, the hometown team, will be looking for their first win of the season. So Mitch, I want to thank you for popping on, making the trip down from Collingwood, and good luck. And hopefully the 88s maybe come out with a win.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right, when we come back, folks, we will bring the brains of the 3HL tour on the panel. It is Dalton Finkbeiner and Ian Duffy.
Hi, I'm Matt Nickel from BioSteel Sports Nutrition. Here to talk to you a little bit today about proper nutrition and proper training for hockey players in the off season. So everybody knows that it's important for hockey players trained to be fast, to be explosive, to have great endurance, to have great strength. It's also extremely important that they stay on top of their nutrition and have proper nutritional habits. Our BioSteel HPSM is the healthiest, safest, and most effective sports drink on the market. It's a great way for professional athletes and regular Joes alike to stay healthy, to stay hydrated while they're training, while they're competing through a long, hard workday. It maintains energy levels in a healthy and effective way, maintains focus and attention during a stressful period of time, whether that's during practice or at work, and also make sure that we stay healthy as we're training.
Welcome back to the 3HL preview tournament show live here at the Tribute Community Center. As you can see, I'm joined by, as I called before we went to the break, the brains of the 3HL. We're going to test our knowledge, try to fill out the bracket to the best of our ability. It's Ian Duffy, the color analyst for JVI's presentation of the 3HL, and our play-by-play, Dalton Finkbeiner. Boys, first off, I got to say thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I got to ask, you guys were there January 1st. You got a first taste of some 3-on-3 professional hockey. Duff, we'll start with you. What was your first expectations or your first thoughts of the league?
I mean, I think we harped on this a lot during the broadcast, but I think you would agree, Dalton. The guys were kind of feeling it out. I think we came out the first couple games, the first couple minutes of every game, guys were kind of feeling it out, not really sure what to expect. But I think as we got along, you could tell, I mean, the top 10 highlights video speaks for itself, and you had to cut some things from that. So obviously there were some electric saves, electric goals, and I think the players, as they got more and more comfortable, they started to flow. They started getting a bit more of a system within each team. I think that was something that was great. But I think to me, I was saying this to Dalton, the thing that stood out to me the most was the goaltender.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was something that was, we talked about it pregame heading in. We thought it might be a bit of an afterthought. And then it turned out as the games got going, we didn't really think in this 3-on-3 format that the goalies could necessarily steal games or play such a big role, and we couldn't have been more wrong.
Yeah,
because the goaltending was electric.
Yeah, we had all three. We had three of the goalies from the league on the panel, and they were pretty humble talking about it, but they did steal the show, and they were outstanding. Dalton, what really stuck out to you, on January 1st?
I think it's just a lot of what Ian said as well. The goalies played a huge role, especially playing the puck up. A lot of goalies came out and were very active, helping their teams get into the offense. So I think that was one really big thing. And I think, as we said early on, I think the teams were filling each other out. But as you got into those later games, the play was really opening up. And I think the thing that people know about 3-on-3 hockey is if you make a mistake on one end, you're going to pay for it on the other. So I think a lot of teams were being a little conservative, don't want to give up that 2-on-1. But eventually in 3-on-3 hockey, that 2-on-1 is going to come. And that was what makes it so exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're going to be back here on Saturday. That's what this preview show is all about. So the first matchup, as you see there, the Kitchener Lions, a little bit of a surprise to a lot of teams, almost making it all the way to the finals. And then on the other spectrum, you had the Toronto Bees, who, a lot of people, including myself, had some high praises. I actually had them pegged as the winners to win on home ice. And it almost seemed like they didn't even show up to the Mattamy Athletic Center. They got lit up 9-2 by the London Threes, another surprise team as well. But there's no doubt, I talked to Brandon Turner, the captain of the Toronto Bees, and he says they are, they're not forgetting about that. They're using it as motivation. Do you guys buy that? Do you think that we're going to see a different Toronto Bees team, or is Kitchener just going to, walk over this Bees club?
Well, I think you already used the word humbling. I think that was a good way to describe it. I think they have to come out, and I think a lot of teams kind of found that out the first little bit. It can be a humbling experience, and I think they thought you might be able to coast through it a little bit, but no, you have to come out. I think you're going to see a lot of teams come out of the gates with a little bit more fire in them, a little bit more urgency, especially with the shortened games now. I think you got to get right to the point. I don't think there'll be as much feeling out, and if you're Toronto, I think that's something that you definitely want to prove a point because you don't want to get walked all over. I don't think that was fun for any player on their team because they kind of got embarrassed.
Yeah, and for me in this matchup, it's all about the Kitchener Lions because they were, as you said, Pat, a bit of a surprise. On paper, they don't have the big names that some of the other teams do, but, they do now. I think a lot of the players on the team were really, really impressive. So I think that, when you look at the Kitchener Lions as a team, maybe a bit of an underdog, and now with going up against a team like the Toronto Bees looking for redemption, I think the Lions showed a lot. They almost made it to the finals. They were an overtime away against the Threes from making it to the finals. So I think they're a team that's out to prove that weren't just a fluke.
Yeah, and I think I hate going back to it because it seems to be a big storyline, but a lot of that I think was the play of Matt Camilleri, a guy that's still playing CIS hockey for the Guelph Griffins. He was electric. I mean, 2 of those top 10 saves were from him. He was really good. I think he kept them in there. But like you said, that Kitchener team really doesn't have too many of the big names where if you put on paper against that Toronto team, you've got guys like Jordan Reed. I think arguably, not even arguably, he's been the best player for the Toronto Bees so far. You guys weren't there for the preseason tournament. He led them in scoring. And Toronto as well. I think he's going to be a big part of that Toronto team if they get that offense going.
He has to be at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rob Quitt, he won a Memorial Cup with the Windsor Spitfires. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, with him, there's so many expectations for him because of his background. He played on those Memcup, those dominant Windsor Spitfire teams. He played with Taylor Hall. He finished ahead of a guy like Adam Henrique, who plays in the NHL. on that team in scoring. So I think that's a guy that can come
As
in.
a defenseman, mind
Yeah,
you.
exactly. So he's a guy that can come in and have high expectations. I think he's a guy that obviously has to be better. I think their whole team would say they have to be better coming in. But Jordan Reed's a guy that showed something coming in because he was shooting the puck.
Yeah.
And I think this was a team that maybe in the opening they came in, got a little bit too cute sometimes, but it's the hockey cliche, you shoot the puck, good things will happen.
Flipping over to Kitchener, I thought one of their best players was Tyler Ryan. He's that guy, who might not be a big name, but he is a big name now because he was a force for them, and he was the main source of their offense for the Kitchener Lions. So it's an interesting matchup on paper, as you said, Pat. A team like the Toronto Bees, who you had pegged as the favorite going in, against an unheralded team who proved a lot in the first tournament. So I think we're in for a really good matchup, especially offensively. I think both these teams have really talented offensive players.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we have to get down to it, though, there's a bunch of other games. Who, after this game, is going to have the heavier pockets winning $2,000? Is it going to be the Toronto Bees getting redemption, or the Kitchener Lions picking up where they left off?
I'll go with the Kitchener Lions. I liked what I saw from them, and in the first tournament we doubted them, and they kind of proved us wrong. So, as you said, Pat, the Bees were a bit disappointing. Until I see more from them, I'm going to have to go with the Lions.
Ian?
I'm going to go against the grain, and I'm going to say a big comeback story from the Toronto Bees because, like we said, I think they are a talented group. I think David Blair, who on paper, didn't have the best game, obviously. I think
he'll be the first one to. He actually said it on air.
Yeah, so I think he actually had a turnover in that game. We talked about goalies playing the puck. He had a turnover in that game that kind of blew up in his face, was a bit of a turning point. So I think he'll obviously be better, but they need to support him because a lot of those goals were just tap-in opportunities.
Sure.
So obviously their whole team defensively has some work to do.
Yeah, no doubt. I think I got to go with.
But
you,
I think
Ian.
they will get it done.
I think I have to agree with you as well. I think they're coming out on top with a victory, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kitchener wins either. That's just the type of league that it is. So let's hop to the next game. It's Milton against Guelph. You could argue this could be the championship game. You got the Milton Flyers.
Yeah.
You see the big check right there with Justin Fox. Captain Fairbairn there accepting it. This team also a surprise. And that man right there, Jesse Messier, the Muscle Milk MVP of the tournament, taking on the Guelph Brewers. Arguably the favorites on paper, had a little bit of a disappointing tournament there, but the big story heading into this tournament obviously is the return to Brett McLean, a story that goes past hockey. He's returning to hockey after his career being ended short due to a heart condition. He's back here in Oshawa as well. I mean, this is where he played the majority of his junior hockey. These two teams, two juggernauts going up against each other. What do you guys expect in this one?
Well, I know there's obviously a lot of people in the community that are fired up to see him here this weekend.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. But like you just said, if you're coming on Saturday, this is the matchup you want to be here for in the first round.
Don't be late.
Do not be late because you blink and you'll miss it. These are the two teams you want to see. And Dalton and I talked about it. And the thing about this Milton team is they're kind of the opposite of Guelph.
Yeah.
Guelph comes in and they've got a group that's kind of dominates the headlines with star power. But I think Milton, on the other hand, is a team that top to bottom, they were very balanced. Obviously, Messier had some highlight reel goals, and I think he was what kind of jumped out at you. And as you look at this Guelph team, on paper, they seem like they should be a juggernaut, but they can be beaten.
Yeah, no, I think what we said, the Milton Flyers in the first round were on the brink of being eliminated, and they went on to win the tournament. And, these two teams did play. They met in the second round of that tournament on New Year's Day, and the Brewers came out on the short end of it, and I think the thing that surprised Ian and I was that Milton was able to shut them down offensively.
Yeah.
With this high-powered offense, it was really surprising that a team like the Flyers was able to do that. You mentioned Jesse Messier. He was kind of the catalyst, but this team's so deep, and I think that's why they were able to come out on top in that tournament, is because they had everyone playing very well. The Brewers, obviously, they still have all those big names, and getting a boost like Brett McLean is huge. So I think it's going to be a really interesting matchup, but the Flyers surprised people in the first tournament. They're not going to surprise people this time.
Sorry.
I was just going to say a big part of that for Milton was the fact that their goaltending was so good the whole day. Now, we don't know what the goaltending situation is going to be for them this weekend.
It yet.
So that's a little bit in the balance. But for them, their defense was outstanding the whole day. They gave up two 1-goal games, which we talked about this on the day of. If you had said that going in, that would basically be unheard of. People would look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah.
So I think for them that was big. And now if you look at Guelph, I think they're a team that obviously they are hyped up for a good reason.
For sure.
I mean, they have multiple guys that were captains of OHL teams. Even a guy like Brett Mackey, who played for the Belleville Bulls, a small, speedy guy, a local guy as well. I think there's a team sponsored by Mackey out here behind us right now. So a big deal in this community. So he's a guy that I think was very effective out there and kind of complemented some of the bigger names like Kennedy and Chappell out there. But this is a group that I think now will have a bit of a jolt in them.
Yeah.
Because they know coming in that, I don't think anyone's going to take them lightly, and they know that if they try to go into a game and coast, it's not going to work.
No, absolutely not. And I think that I think this is a little bit of, motivation. And we talked about before you guys came on about with the Toronto Bees, they have something to prove because they lost in that first round matchup. Well, the Guelph Brewers, sure, they won one game. They squeaked by Newmarket, and then they lost, and like you said, they were shut down. So they have a lot to prove. You add McLean back in the lineup, a guy who was, a prolific scorer in junior. Chris Chappell, you talk about local guys. He's from Pickering, just a few minutes away from just, quick drive down the 401. A guy who was the captain of the Saginaw Spirit. Another fantastic player as well. But you go back to this Milton team, guys, and I mean, they do have some other, some of the guys, some SPHL, some ECHL experience as well, CIS. But it's the way that they play. If you had to pick a team that played the best as a team, it's Milton. So, you know what? Moving on, we got to pick a winner. Who do you guys think is coming out with game number 2 with the W? You know what, Dalton, we'll start with you first.
This was a tough for me. I guess I'm going to go with the Guelph Brewers. I didn't pick the Flyers in any game last time. They proved me wrong, so maybe they'll do it again. I thought the Brewers were, they came out a bit sloppy, but they still have the most talented team in the league. Matt Kennedy, a guy drafted in the NHL in the 5th round. He scored a hat trick. Add Theo Peckham, Brett McLean. It might just be too much firepower, and they're going to be motivated after, a bit of a no-show. And the Flyers beat them, knocked them out. So I think the Brewers win the rubber match.
Yeah, I'm for sure going to agree with Dalton on this one. I think the revenge factor, I think the firepower with Guelph will just be too much. And, we haven't really mentioned it necessarily, but this was a Milton team that, although they won it, they were almost knocked out in round 1.
Sure, yeah.
They had to go to overtime in the first game. So I think this is a team that for Guelph, it just is too much. I can't see them being knocked out in the first game. I think Guelph has to go on.
Yeah, you know what? I think I have to go with Guelph as well. Too much firepower. You look at a guy like Brett McLean. It's a great story coming back to professional hockey. We didn't really talk about him that much. Theo Peckham, or as Don Cherry would say, Teddy Peckman, out on the ice. He was showing the silky mitts out there. Yeah. I think they have too much talent, but something tells me, though, there's a good chance that Milton proves us wrong once again, but I think we have to go with the clean sweep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but you look at this Milton team, they're just so strong. I mean, Tristan Fairbarn has done such a good job building this team.
Yeah.
He's had a long SPHL career as well, and it just seems like every so often I had to find myself looking down at the roster, who was? Oh wow! Like you just game after game, you're finding out different players, and we didn't even talk about that Daniel Spivak. He's a player that played on the national team for Israel, and he was a prolific scorer as a defenseman in Provincial Junior A as well. He's a great player, and it just seems like every time you forget about one of these players on Milton, they're so deep. We talked about how deep they were, but I think I still have to go with Guelph. So moving on to game number 3, it's Oshawa, the 88s, the home team here, taking on Markham. We'll say unbiased for you guys. I know you guys like their jerseys. You see them there. Yeah. They're gorgeous.
Yeah, I love their jerseys.
Great name. But the big star of the show, I'm sure we'll see him on this highlight reel, was Daryl Rotham. He was on the panel here with the Mohawk. I absolutely loved it. The guy's electric.
His style is incredible.
It's
all
great.
around. On
he
the
also,
ice, off the ice.
Teaser,
He's got it all.
a little bit of a spoiler alert. He does have a new helmet coming for Saturday. It's very old school, and that's all I'll say about it. But so we have Markham taking on Oshawa, 2 teams that have a ton to prove, both of them losing just by 1 goal. What do you expect in this matchup, fellas? We'll start with Duff.
Well, I think for me, if Oshawa, obviously you come in on home ice, you don't want to be bounced in the first round. So I think for them, they've got a local guys. They're a pretty young team, so I think they'll come out with a lot of jump, and they have firepower. They showed that in their game last weekend. Obviously, Mitch Scott, I think, is their go-to guy. He's the guy with probably the most impressive resume on this team. He's scored everywhere he's gone in his career, whether it be with Sudbury, St. Mike's in the OHL. So he's a guy for me that I think they can kind of rally around. But for me, I like Oshawa. I think that's the team that you want to focus on if you're coming into this right away. But you don't want to discount the guys with what we say collectively. What's your thoughts on their jerseys?
I think they're money. I'm biased though.
Yeah.
My school was baby blue, yellow, and navy blue, so I have a little thing for the Milton Flyers. But those Markham Millionaires
Markham
jerseys,
caught our eyes right away.
They're sharp. They got the Kelly green.
And what also caught our eye was Daryl Rotham in the net. You know,
Yeah.
first game out, first game in 3HL history.
Yeah.
He was electric, and you know he kept his team in it for most of the game. So he's going to be a big part of it. And I think another guy, Andrew Bonello, played professionally in France for 2 years. He was very good as well. But Ian and I were talking about this. Having both these teams lose in the first round, we didn't really get to see a ton from them. So the big key of this might be who makes the adjustments after their loss. As you said, Pat, 1-goal games. It's a play here and there, but it might just be what team makes the most adjustments after that loss.
Yeah, no, certainly is. I think another big part about this Oshawa team is, and we talked about it with Mitch when he came on with us as well, is the fact that they have added some players as well. A few guys with junior experience, a few with some professional and OHL, but the big name that hops out to me is Todd Hosmer. If you're a hockey fan of junior, he played on a really strong Newmarket team, some Pickering teams as well, and if you're a lacrosse fan as well, played some junior lacrosse as well. We have to, myself and Ian being lacrosse guys, got to give them a shout out as well. But he's just coming off a professional career, literally, coming from the SPHL, literally just days ago, coming home from the SPHL to come back to Toronto. He found out an opportunity where he can still play professional hockey here on the 3HL tour. He played in the SPHL and also in the ECHL, putting about 40-odd points the 1 year as well. The guy's got some talent, and he was just a last-minute addition. Mitch Scott has done a good job molding this team.
Well, we saw some of the teams right away after week one kind of try and make some adjustments, some additions, some subtractions, because I think we saw in the first week that some of the teams, how quickly you mesh in this format is also a very big factor and key to your success. So I think that's something that when guys come in, how do they fit? How do they adjust to the 3-on-3? I think that's something that we'll see. And we don't know for some of these teams because we only saw the one game.
Yeah, no, that's it. And, as we talked about it with Milton, Markham had them on the ropes and just couldn't put them away. So they did have some early success. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep that going. And, as you said, Pat, 1-goal defeats in 3-on-3, it's a small margin for error, so maybe the adjustments aren't huge, but it'll be interesting to see how both these teams bounce back, because one of them's going to the second round for the first time.
And the other thing I'll say about that is, let's not forget that Markham played in the very first game.
For sure.
Yes.
So that was something that, as the day went on, we noticed that the other teams got to sit and watch, and they can kind of make adjustments just by watching the game and saying, maybe this works, maybe this doesn't. So that's something that for them, now they've got to see it all and kind of sit back and maybe put it into play a little bit. They had to go out there just going blind the first game. So obviously there's lots of adjustments to be made.
All right, so let's get to it. The 88s, the home team. Are the Oshawa faithful going to see more games from the 88s, or are the Markham Millionaires going to send them home early? Dalton, we've started you twice now. Ian, you're on the clock. Who are you going with?
I'm going to go with Markham.
Okay.
Gonna have to maybe get security escort out of here tonight. But that's just because who doesn't want to see more Daryl
Rotham? Yeah.
And I think that's for me the X factor. And he was so great. He almost stole that first game for them in Toronto. So I think for me, that's the pick.
I'm going with the same guys. Love the jerseys, and Rotham was electric. And, they were close to having their first win.
Yeah.
They were, they let a lead slip away. I think they're going to be motivated to come back, so I'm going to go with the Millionaires as well.
You know what? I got to go against the grain. I would love to see more of Daryl Rotham, but I talked to Mitch Scott off camera, a couple weeks ago. He's been breaking down that game like nobody has. I think he's got almost half our views on that video because he's been watching the tape so much. This guy's committed to the 3HL. He's breaking it down, and like I said, he made those improvements. Especially Hosmer, he's a big key addition for me. I think I got to go with the 88s. So there we go.
Well, I don't want to cut you off, but as far as breaking down the tape goes, I think that's one of the things that made Milton so successful in the first week. Not obviously they didn't have time to break down the tape, but they were the team that, to me, adjusted the quickest. They started to spread the ice, maybe have a guy hanging out at the far blue line. So for me, I think that was such a key part of their success, that when you have other teams making that effort to kind of understand, hey, maybe, we take some chances just playing 3-on-2, have a guy hanging out at the far blue line, maybe it'll pay off for some of these other teams.
And to jump on that point, I think the thing they did too is they jumped on teams early, forcing other teams to take more chances, and then they capitalized on that. As you said, especially in the finals when they were up against the threes, they sort of, once they had the lead, they exploited the fact they had the lead, and that would play to their advantage. So I think they figured out the strategy a little quicker than some of these other teams. So it'll be interesting to see in the second tournament if someone can do what Milton did the first time around.
All right, well, we'll go with game number 4. It's the Newmarket Saints, another team that was bounced early, losing by just 1 goal, taking on, arguably maybe one of the favorite teams, not by favorite, I mean fan favorite teams of the day, the London Threes, an electric team playing with a short bench this week. A little bit of a different lineup, but nonetheless, still very impressive. Guys, it's led by Rich Wigmore. He was here tonight. He's very, very excited for adding these new players alongside already Luke Beleshta and Spencer McCormick, who had instant chemistry.
Yeah, Beleshta was fantastic. He was one of the players, everyone on the threes was fantastic, but he was one that really stuck out, that beautiful goal right there. And Wigmore was solid for them back there as well. So, those were 2 key elements to their run. Deep into the tournament, losing in the finals. As you mentioned, the Threes had a bit of a short bench that kind of affected them going into the final game. So it'll be interesting to see, as you said, some new players in the mix. So I think the new guys will, have that, be a little behind the 8 ball in terms of adjustments maybe after the first game. But once you get into the game, I think they'll figure it out pretty quickly.
Well, we just saw Patty Morgan there, who had a big-time impact in week 1, and he's not even going to be in the lineup for them this weekend because they added so many guys heading into this second week. So this is a group that I think now has bigger expectations. I don't think they're going to be flying under the radar, so this is a group that I think you're definitely going to want to watch out for. But at the same time, we're going to talk about another one of these teams that only had that 1 game under their belt. To me, this Newmarket team is very dangerous. When you talk about Chris McKinnon, the captain of this team, probably has one of the most decorated resumes in the whole league. He played with Jeff Skinner in Kitchener. He was a dominant force there. He tied with Skinner in points one year when Skinner had 50 goals. So that just shows you the kind of talent that this guy has. And he was ahead of Gabe Landeskog in scoring. I know I said that already, but that just shows you, if you want to have something by comparison to look at these guys can play. And he's a guy that's very dangerous. One of my favorite things about Newmarket is that you look through their roster, and half their team has played for the Newmarket Hurricanes. And I think that's something that has helped them so much because they have so much chemistry and familiarity with each other.
And I think their quick start was directly a correlation to that because, like you said, they've played together. You look at a Guelph team, sure, they're all buddies, but only a few of them actually have played together, right? Or if they did, it was back when they were kids. This Newmarket team, for me, I think they're a team that could easily, I thought that they probably could have easily beaten Guelph and won the entire thing. Like you said, McKinnon, obviously, the guy was electric on the ice, shows how good he was. That quick release, that slap shot, he was great. And the big thing for me as well, they added Steven Johnston. He's probably one of the bigger names that we have in this league. He was a draft pick by the Detroit Red Wings in 2008. He's got a very, very impressive resume, and he also more chemistry, played at St. Mary's with McKinnon. So these guys are very familiar with each other. They just added a good piece and a guy who McKinnon has already played with. And we haven't even mentioned him yet, Jimmy Sargent. The guy's a Hobie Baker finalist. He was unbelievable there.
And as you said about the game, they should have beat Guelph. They were up in that game, and we talked about Guelph, and
they looked like the better team.
Yeah, and they kind of snuck by in their first game, and obviously got bounced in their second game. So Newmarket's definitely a really dangerous team, and as Ian said, the fact that they only played 1 game is a bit of a disadvantage, I think, just because they need to get a little bit used to the game. But we'll see what happens, and I think that this Newmarket team is not going to surprise anyone anymore, especially with a guy like Chris McKinnon, who was electric in that Guelph game. So we'll see if the Hurricanes can improve on it. And as you said, Jimmy Sargent back there, maybe the most talented goalie in the league.
Well, you could tell they definitely came out that game and punched Guelph in the mouth and kind of caught them off guard. Because
I stick Theo Peckham in the mouth.
Quite if you want to get literal. And that maybe what actually ignited Guelph in that game, because Peckham went right down and scored after. But to me, they came out and they looked good, and they had that instant chemistry, and they obviously have the top 10 talent. I mean, if you want to talk about McKinnon, you don't end up top 10 in OHL scoring by accident.
Back-to-back years as well.
So this is a guy that obviously can put the puck in the net, and he showed it a couple times because, we started to talk about during the game, as guys come in, they kind of gain the blue line. A lot early in the day, a lot of teams were just kind of sitting back. And then they kind of realized, well, guys are just like, well, if you're not going to come out to me, I'm just going to shoot the puck.
Yeah, that was a big trend, was the slap shot.
And McKinnon was one of those guys. He started to realize, if you're going to give me the time and space, I'm just going to step in and rip it and burn Guelph.
Yeah.
So
it's like not guarding a guy on a three-pointer in basketball
exactly.
at a certain point.
Yeah,
There's so much space, and these guys, it's like target practice for them.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of them just weren't used to having that kind of time and space.
For sure.
And then when they realized it was going to keep happening, why not?
Yeah, we saw guys like Jordan Reed and Chris McKinnon literally take
Both
slap
of those
shots
guys.
at will.
Yeah.
And I bet you we'll see a lot of the same. Maybe, defensemen start stepping up, checking their man a little better, but with those two guys, with those quick releases and how heavy of slap shots they have, no doubt I see Chris McKinnon dropping the hammer quite a bit on Saturday. Now, with that being said, guys, London Threes, are they crawling their way back to the finals again with a little bit of a different lineup? Or are the Newmarket Saints going to get their first win against London?
I'm going to go with the Newmarket Saints. Chris McKinnon's the major reason why. He was so great in the first game, and with a guy like Jimmy Sargent back there, I think this is where they get over the hump and they get their first win.
Yeah, I think, we talk about how good London is, but because of all that roster turnover, I think Newmarket was a team that looked as good as anyone. I kind of already said, Milton and Guelph is a game you want to watch, but I also think this is going to be a really good game. So keep your eye on this one, but I think I'm also going to go with Newmarket because we talked about the chemistry and the talent that this team has. I think, obviously someone's got to draw Guelph the first game, the first weekend. So I think this is a team that I expect to be in round 2.
Yeah, I think for the first time in 3HL history, the Newmarket Saints got a little bit of coin stuffed in their pockets. I'm going with Chris McKinnon. He was very motivated after they lost. He thought they should have won. And like I said, adding an NHL draft pick, not too bad as well. And the roster was already pretty solid. So I think I got to finish the clean sweep. We'll go with the Newmarket Saints. So let's take a look based off our pick, take a look at the bracket, who we see moving from the semis and then on to the finals. So by our picks, we had 2 Toronto Bees. So we'll say the Toronto Bees beat Kitchener, and we'll say that I believe we went. Was it a clean sweep with Guelph? So we'll go Guelph against Toronto. Who do you guys have, Dalton?
I'm going to go with Guelph. Brett McLean coming back, it's going to be a huge boost, playing in Oshawa again. And, you go up and down this roster, and it's just hard to believe they even lost in the first tournament. So I think, given the second chance, they're going to get it done in the semifinals and move on to the finals.
All right, Ian?
I mean, Guelph has everything you want. They have size, speed, skill, goaltending. This is a team for me that it's just too hard to pick against them, so I go with Guelph as well.
All right, I think I got to go with Guelph as well. I think just too much talent.
Their first finals appearance.
Yes, going to the finals for the first time. So in the next one we have, I believe we went with London. It was London and Newmarket. So we went Newmarket, and then the other one we went with Oshawa. I think it was 2-1 for Oshawa.
No, I think it was to Markham.
Yes, I was the only one. Yes, I forgot. Did I? So Markham against Newmarket, a battle of York in round 2. Who comes out on top? Dalton?
I'm going to go with Newmarket. As you mentioned, the additions they have, and they arguably have the most talented goalie in the league. And I think, as we talked about early on, how much big a part goaltending does play. And with a guy like Chris McKinnon up front, I think they're going to get that rematch with Guelph that they want, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to advance.
Ian?
I'm not just trying to copy him, but I think Newmarket's going to go as well. I think these two teams just kind of look like they're right for it right now.
Yeah, you know what? I think I got to agree. I think Newmarket, like I said, at that first game, even before the game happened, I said Guelph, Newmarket could be the game of the day. It almost ended up being it. I think we see it again in that Newmarket matchup with London. Newmarket, too familiar with each other, lots of chemistry, and you arguably have one of the most electric offensive players on that team. I'm going with Newmarket as well. So with all that being said, we see in the finals it would be Newmarket taking on Guelph, a rematch of round 1. Who do you guys have coming out on top? Who is going to be $7,000 richer here at the TCC? We'll go with Duffy this time. I put you on spot twice now.
Yeah, so this time
give me a second. Yeah, I'll copy you. Yeah, I'll copy you. Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna say Newmarket takes it.
Wow.
I think Jimmy Sargent steals one.
I'm going to go with Newmarket as well. I know we're copying each other, but I just think they're a team that, I think we're going to see these teams who got bounced in the first round motivated to go deeper. And, we've talked, we've beaten it down, but Chris McKinnon, so talented. And I think that, they almost put Guelph away the first time. I think they're going to get it the second time.
I got to go against the grain. I think that the Guelph Brewers, I've been in this arena as a kid. No, I shouldn't say kid. A few years ago, back when Brett McLean was playing, I saw him score a lot of goals in this building.
Yeah.
I think he's going to do the same thing again. It's a special day for him. It kind of goes past the game of hockey, like I said. And let's not forget how star-studded their lineup was. They were upset by Milton in that game. I think they come out on top, and I think they get their first tournament win here in Oshawa. So
I really think what Dalton said, there's something to be said for the teams that were bounced in the first round in Toronto. I think some of the guys were really legitimately rattled by that, and I think they're going to come out and try to prove a point. And I think because of the shorter games now, if you jump on a team real quick, it's going to be tough for them to come back.
And I think one thing what we saw, especially with the London Threes last time, is how big injuries play into this. If you're down a guy going into that finals, having already played 2 games, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage. So keep an eye on that. If you see guys getting banged up, keep an eye to see which team's going to adjust better.
Yeah, no, I mean, certainly there's a ton of great matchups in this first round even. You look at it, we even had a hard time picking some winners. So, folks, if you haven't got your tickets already for the Oshawa 3HL Showcase, go online right now. I think we are still doing our Twitter giveaway, so tweet at 3HL Tour. I want tickets, hashtag 3on3 Pro Hockey. 50 tickets we're giving away, folks. So we're giving away 50 tickets. We want this place packed. And if you haven't got your tickets or you don't have Twitter, go online. You can get your tickets at the Tribute Community Center website. You can also go on our website as well, 3hltour.com/tickets. So, boys, I want to thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you.
I enjoyed myself.
Our
I can't
pleasure.
wait till Saturday.
Yeah.
And, guys, if you can't make it out to these two guys, watch them on JVI Sports Network on our YouTube page. So for 3HL Tournament Preview Show live here from the tour from the Tribute Community Center, thank you for watching, and we'll see you Saturday.